Gettysburg, but on the way we saw a sign for Fort Necessity that we'd never seen on the way to Gettysburg before. So we're gonna stop so we can at least get something out of the day since we're gonna get to Gettysburg so late. So let's see what it's all about.
The best national battlefields are the ones that you didn't even expect to see.
Revolution. So it must be a Revolutionary War?
Where are we going, Stacy?
Down to the fort to watch soldiers shoot off artillery and some kind of soldier encampment thing for the anniversary of this battle.
You can see what's motivating these individuals, mostly out of necessity. They're here because they have to be.
Aim and fire.
Fire!
Fort Necessity was a small, makeshift stockade in present-day Pennsylvania, built by a young George Washington and his Virginia militia in 1754 during the French and Indian War. On July 3, 1754, French troops and their Native American allies attacked, forcing Washington to surrender after a brief battle. This early British defeat in the Ohio River Valley highlighted escalating tensions with the French, setting the stage for the broader conflict.
Washington often resisted.
We're headed into Maryland to go to a Dunkin' Donuts that has a special meeting for us. You want to tell the story?
No.
Okay. 2 years ago, we were supposed to go to Jeremiah's family reunion, and...
All right, I'll tell the story.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
All right, so 2 years ago, we decided that we were not going to be able to go to Gettysburg for whatever reason. I think our travel budget was blown by July, unsurprisingly. So we decided that we were going to go to my family reunion. It's a cool sign we dismissed. We decided we were going to go to my family reunion in Kentucky. But last minute, I had a change of heart. And I mean, last minute as in the night before, I had a change of heart. And I decided that we were going to go to Gettysburg anyways. But I didn't tell Stacy because I knew that she would probably protest. So I convinced her that we were going, well, I didn't have to convince her, we were already planning on going to the family reunion. However, when we left, I told her we were going to take a different route, a more scenic route. So we start driving north, past Columbus. And at that point, I was pretty certain that she was going to catch on to the fact that we were not, in fact, going to Kentucky. But no, she did not. I just told her that we had to go through West Virginia, and somehow that worked. So we go all the way through Ohio, we go through Pennsylvania, but I knew that the West Virginia portion of the drive was going to be super short. And also we left kind of late, so we couldn't get all the way to Gettysburg. So I got a hotel somewhere close to Pittsburgh, Washington, Pennsylvania. So I made up a game where everybody in the car had to close their eyes. I don't remember the game.
I don't remember what we had to think of.
But everyone had to close their eyes for this game. And I conveniently taught everyone this game as we crossed the Pennsylvania border. So we get across the Pennsylvania border. She has no idea, somehow. We get all the way to our hotel in Washington, Pennsylvania. And we stay the night. Somehow she still didn't realize it. I actually had turned off her location services on her phone, so she had no idea.
I even looked at the booking before we got to the hotel and didn't notice it said Pennsylvania as well.
Anyways, next day I was pretty certain that I wasn't going to make it far because there were signs that said Pittsburgh everywhere. Road signs. So we continue on down the road, and thankfully she was pretty tired. I guess she wasn't feeling very good. So, oops, I missed my turn. So anyways, she took a nap, and that helped me get across the Maryland border. And she woke up from her nap, she wanted coffee, so she started looking for a Dunkin', and she got on her phone. And I was pretty certain at that point she was going to realize that we were in Maryland and not in Kentucky. But she did not. We get all the way to the Dunkin' Donuts, and she starts realizing that there's Maryland license plates everywhere. And at that point, we broke the news to her, and I'll insert a clip here that I took of her realizing that she was in Maryland and not Kentucky after 7 hours of driving.
And an overnight stay in Pennsylvania.
And an overnight stay in Pennsylvania. Alright, Stacy, do you know where you're at?
Yes, I'm at a Dunkin' Donuts in Maryland, and I knew where I was going this time.
Look at the beautiful sea.
We finally made it to our destination, the Eisenhower Hotel. After we dropped our bags, we went into town and ate at the Appalachian Brewing Company.
What are we eating?
Mountain nachos that are not very much like a mountain. Here's all our food. Did you guys sleep good last night?
Yeah, so Dakota kept hitting me with her hands.
What did we do last night when we got to the hotel?
Swim.
Was it fun?
Yeah.
Today we're headed to Gettysburg Visitor Center to start the day before we do the tour of the military park. Almost every year since 2017, we've taken the same picture next to the Abraham Lincoln statue here at the Visitor Center. It's crazy to see how much the boys have grown. And of course, Dakota had to get her own picture too. For this year in Gettysburg, we usually have an audio tour that we bought a book for a couple years ago that we use, but it has a CD and our car doesn't have a CD player. So instead of buying a new one, we're going with a paper map this year, and we're going to use the National Park Service app that has an auto tour on it.
McPherson Ridge.
Alright, so we are looking at the McPherson Ridge, which is where the Battle of Gettysburg first began. Right over here is what's known as the McPherson Barn, and you can see the road there. That's Chambersburg Road. That's where John Buford and his men would have walked into the town of Gettysburg. They first took shelter right here at Lutheran Theological Seminary, and if you look right here in the middle of the screen, you can see the cupola, which very famously in the movie of Gettysburg, Sam Elliott's character John Buford stood in that during the movie. Pretty cool scene.
What goes, John? There's a devil to pay. Can you hold? I reckon I can.
Right over here, you can see where later in the day, John Reynolds and his men pushed the Confederates back beyond this line of trees. And this is actually where John Reynolds, the first Major General to die in the Battle of Gettysburg, this is where he died, right out there.
Fire. Spurring his black charger into heavy fire, he shouted above the deafening roar of battle, "Forward, men, forward, for God's sake, and drive those fellows out of the woods." These were his last words.
So what you're seeing right here is a licensed battlefield guide. It's actually pretty cool and something we've never done. You can hire a guide to drive you around in your car, and they'll give you a personal tour and give you a bunch of information about everything you're seeing, much more in depth. One of these years we're going to do it, but not this year.
We're on our way to Devil's Den for a Devil's Den Ranger Walk.
Very ferociously, and they're going to stand firm. The first Confederate attack by the elements of the 1st Texas and 3rd Arkansas is not successful. He is standing exactly how he is depicted on his monument. He is standing up here on this high rise of ground with his arms crossed, and he's just watching the events unfold in front of him.
One of the cool things about Gettysburg is that a lot of the sites have been preserved. So this is a pretty popular picture that you may or may not have seen. Depends on what level of Civil War history you follow. But if you look right above from where where the sign is at, you can actually see the exact spot that this picture was taken. We're walking away from Devil's Den and heading back to our car after our ranger talk. And just wanted to point out that we're walking along the base of Little Roundtop. Up there was where the Union line ended, and that's where we'll probably end up ending our day. This is the Dobbin House in downtown Gettysburg. It's one of the oldest houses in the town. It was built in 1776. Today it is a restaurant. We've eaten there once. It was okay.
We've eaten there twice.
Twice?
Once with just us and the kids, and once with your parents, and it wasn't that good.
We're gonna walk down Steinway Avenue. There's lots of shops to see. We'll bring you back when we find something cool.
This used to be Hunt's Battlefield Fries and Cafe. It was probably the best Philly cheesesteak we've ever had, and we were looking forward to coming this year. But when I looked it up, I saw that the business owners retired and shut it down last year after the season. So Gettysburg is not the same now.
If you're a fan of the movie Gettysburg, you would understand this reference.
Morning, Lawrence. Darn it, Tom, don't call me Lawrence.
This here is the Jenny Wade house, which actually wasn't Jenny Wade's house, but it's the house where Jenny Wade was shot and killed. You can see the statue of her right there. She is the only civilian to have died during the Battle of Gettysburg. If you walk around to the side of the house, I don't know if I'll be able to get to it. You can see, yep, here it is right here. That is the bullet hole, original entry, where the bullet went through the door and shot and killed Jenny Wade, who was making bread on the other side of this door.
Yeah. Where are we at? What are we doing? O'Rourke's Family Eatery. This is it. Around the drinks and dessert this afternoon, guys. We all together on one. Mr. G's, one of the most popular ice cream spots in Gettysburg. Thank you.
I think I may have spotted General Lee. Next stop, we're at General Lee's headquarters, operated by the American Battlefield Trust. If you don't know who they are, they're an organization that buys and preserves battlefield land. This all used to be a hotel, I think, or a parking lot. Used to be some sort of development here, but they bought it a couple years ago, and they restored Lee's headquarters, and they restored the ground back to how it would have looked during the Civil War.
We took a stop to walk around the town and eat lunch. Now we're headed back on our auto tour. We're headed to stop number 2, the Eternal Light Peace Memorial.
Eternal Light Peace Memorial.
North or south? You're still alive in 1938.
1863.
Right, we're heading up the observation tower at Oak Ridge. Should be a good view from the top.
Oak Ridge.
Off in the distance, you can see McPherson Farm, where we were at earlier. And then out on this side, behind this tree, is the Eternal Light Peace Memorial. And then if you come over to this side, you can see the town of Gettysburg over that way.
We're driving on Confederate Avenue on our way to the North Carolina Memorial to take a yearly picture of Zeke by a cannon that he once bumped his head on.
North Carolina Memorial.
So this is Hudson Borgman's creative master.
This right here is the field of Pickicket's Charge. And then back here along the line of trees is where the Confederates were stationed. It was their battle line. And it was from right around here where the North Carolina Monument stands, where they set out for Pickett's Charge across this field. We actually walked across it 2 years ago. It's about a mile, and it was very hot, kind of like it is today. And we were very tired at the end of it. I'll put in a few pictures of us at the end. But General Lee, he told his men to focus their attention on the copse of trees that you can see right in the middle of the screen. I'll circle it. The Confederates actually did breach the wall, but they didn't make it much further than that. You can imagine walking across a mile of open field. Most of them were slaughtered going across, and they were eventually repelled. And where they wound up walking back to, most of them, is just down that way where we're about to head to, where the Virginia Memorial is. Cool part about coming back to the same place every year is that you make weird traditions, and one of ours is that Zeke gets a picture in the same spot every year where he bumped his head in 2019 and took a pouty picture.
I say that? Virginia Memorial.
All right, Zeke, what are we looking at?
The General Lee Monument?
Nope.
No?
Virginia Monument.
Virginia Monument, but you're right.
It's
It's
got Lee on it.
Robert E. Lee on the top. Also Virginians on the bottom. Most of the soldiers in the army were not regular military men, they were just regular people. And I think the sculptor, if I'm not mistaken, took that into account when he made the Virginia Monument. It's probably one of the most notorious monuments in the park. General Lee being a rather popular general in the South. I believe this is the area that the Confederates walked back to, and General Lee met them here.
Pitzer's Woods and Warfield Ridge.
Just left tour stop number 6, Pitzer's Woods, and we're on our way to tour stop number 7, which is Warfield Ridge, I think. And we're going to stop and go up this observation tower. I'm not sure what you can see from there, but I'm pretty sure you can see the Eisenhower farm, which is out that way. If so, I'll show you from the top. Right there's a little Roundtop. Pennsylvania Memorial. And there's the town of Gettysburg.
They said they were about to reach 7. So,
on this side, you can see the Eisenhower farm.
we're already on 7.
Right there.
Okay. We're back.
Smile, Dakota. Oh, so pretty. How many stairs did you count coming down?
116.
Nice. All right, so we just left Warfield Ridge, but you want to read and tell us what happened there?
Yes. At Warfield Ridge, Longstreet's assault began at 4 p.m. They were directed against Union troops occupying Devil's Den, the wheat field, and the peach orchard, and against Meade's undefended left flank at the Roundtops.
And right now we're driving up this road that should take us to Little Roundtop.
We're driving up the road for Little Roundtop, searching for a parking spot. They recently redid it, and you used to be able to park like all the way up this hill, but now it's blocked off by curbs and plants, and you have to park up in the parking lot, and it is tough to find a spot today.
The wheat field.
This is the wheat field, and here's what happened. July 2nd, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. In the summer of 1863, the golden wheat grew tall, but at 4:30 on July 2nd, the wheat field was transformed into a whirlpool of death. Over a period of 2.5 hours, this ground changed hands 6 times as Confederates of Longstreet's corps attempted to smash the loosely knit Union line. As the day and fighting ended, the dead and wounded lay together on the trampled, blood-soaked wheat. Confederates took the wheat field, but casualties, an estimated 6,000 to 7,000 on both sides, were devastating.
The peach orchard in Plum Run.
All right, we just left the wheat field and drove through the peach orchard on our way to Plum Run. Those are stops 9, 10, and 11. But I stopped here at the Trussell farm because I wanted to point out that this barn here still has a cannonball hole that you can still see to this day.
The Pennsylvania Memorial.
Right across the way here is the Pennsylvania Monument. This is the largest monument in the battlefield, largely in part because the battle happened here in Pennsylvania. All right, we'll see you at the top.
Always. Sometimes it'll just kind of burn.
And there's our car.
It's time for the fireworks.
You want a sucker?
Good job, Zeke.
We weren't enjoying the vibes at the festival, so we decided to head into town to get some ice cream at Kilwin's. That's chocolate peanut butter. I know, right?
Oh,
Boys, what are we doing?
seeing fireworks.
Where?
Gettysburg.
Dakota, you excited to see the fireworks?
Fireworks.
Alright, it is time to leave the hotel, and we thought that we would read a couple reviews that we saw online. You want to read the first one, Stacy?
Okay. Ryan says, very good. He liked the hardwood floors. He did not like that the carpets are not installed in the halls properly and need to be stretched or redone. That was true. Lots of huge bubbles on the carpets in the hallway. Did not look installed properly.
Yeah, if you're not careful, it'll reach out and grab you.
Helen said that the restaurant closed early. The breakfast bar was good, but they serve sausage and she prefers bacon. That's just a little bit much. I thought the breakfast bar was good for a hotel.
It was pretty bland, but I guess if you seasoned it, it was okay.
They had a lot of options, just
Yeah.
not bacon. But I thought it was an okay hotel overall.
Kids, did you like the hotel?
Yeah.
The pool was nice. I didn't find a review about the pool, but just a little bit crowded on one of the days. But
Yeah.
it was a heated pool, which was nice because usually hotel pools are very cold.
Kids, what was your favorite part of the hotel?
The breakfast.
Really? What was your favorite part of our hotel?
Pool.
The pool. Cal?
Pool.
The pool.
Yeah. I liked how cold the air conditioning got in the room.
That was awful.
That was.
It froze me to death.
I felt like I was an ice block.
An ice block, yeah.
On a count of 3, everyone say what their ranking is, 1 through 10 for this hotel. 1, 2, 3.
7.
2 7s. Cal, you say a 5?
Yeah.
What's yours?
6.
Yeah. I almost said 6.5.
By our standards, at least.
Yeah.
We probably have some lower standards than most people.
For sure. We've stayed in much worse. Much worse.
Much.
All right. What's the first stop for the day?
Little Roundtop.
Yep. And what are you guys most looking forward to today?
Mini golf.
Yep. All right, so
Lincoln.
let's get on our way.
Here's the pool area. It's a pretty big pool. It wasn't very deep, so the kids liked that. But it's nice and warm in here, and the pool was heated, which made it nice. Here's a little arcade that we never got to come to, but it's kind of neat for this being in a hotel. Breakfast bar.
Little Roundtop.
All right. After 4 tries, we finally found a parking spot. 3 tries yesterday and today on the first try because we got here pretty early. We are heading up this small hill that takes us to the monument for the 20th Maine. If you don't know anything about the 20th Maine, its commander was Joshua Chamberlain, future governor of the state of Maine. He was actually a professor when he enlisted. Didn't even have to enlist. He could have gone on sabbatical. His college actually tried to get him not to enlist, and he did anyways because he felt a duty to. And today, this monument stands here to recognize the heroics of the 20th Maine as they defended Little Roundtop against the Alabamians. It's also a very highlighted point in the movie Gettysburg. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you check it out. Chamberlain is played by Jeff Daniels, and actually rather well done. All right, we'll show you more in a minute. So Little Roundtop was redone, like I mentioned earlier in the video. These rocks are actually a lot higher than I remember them being the last time we were here. The movie Gettysburg was not filmed at the actual location, although it was filmed in Gettysburg. And by that I mean Little Roundtop scene. There were some scenes filmed inside the national park, but Little Roundtop was not one of those scenes. But when you come here, you can really get a sense of what they were trying to accomplish in the movie. You would almost think that this was part of the movie scene because it does represent pretty well how it actually is in the movie. So, pretty good job. There's a marker over here. If I'm not mistaken, this is the right. Yeah, so this is the right end of the 20th Main. I believe it went down along these stones, and then I think it made a V, because if you look way out there, you can see the marker for the left end. And this is where they would have been stationed. They were the left flank of the Union Army. So that pretty much means that there was nobody else to their left. They had to hold this ground at all costs, and that they did. All right, so I just found this marker here, and there's the right flank right there. And that would have been about right here. And then you can see that it goes down the hill and forms a V shape. And then the left flank comes up right here, which would have been over there. And then off in the distance, you can see the Confederate soldiers that were trying to make their way up the hill. All right, I just wanted to show you that this is Joshua Chamberlain, who was depicted by Jeff Daniels in the movie. Here are some other people who were here. Stacy's gonna read this sign to you real quick that kind of explains why they became infamous here.
Bayonets. The bayonet charge of the 20th Maine on July 2nd became a defining moment for the regiment. Yet, as years passed and the fog of war clouded old memories, discerning the true sequence of events and the roles individuals played in them became just as confused and chaotic as the actual charge itself. Was an order given to charge? Were bayonets ordered to be used?
Bayonet!
Who led the charge? Were the Alabamians driven from the hill or ordered to retreat? Piecing together a coherent narrative of a complex moment such as this is the challenge of the historian. The truth of what happened on this rocky spur may never be known.
All right, so this is our first time being at the top of Little Roundtop in 3 years, and I just want to make note of how much better looking it is. The flowers look nice. The trails look much more improved. So far, pretty impressed. Only issue I have so far is how little parking they have.
Alright, wait, stop right here and see what this is.
Oh yeah, this used to be really hard to get to. This is where General Vincent Strong, or Strong Vincent, I thought it was Vincent Strong. This is where he died, or was wounded, and then died. And then up there, I think that's called the New York Monument. But I'm pretty sure this used to be a very small path, and you had to kind of wade through some grass to get there. All right, we're coming up over the hill, and you can see why this is the most popular spot in Gettysburg. The view up here is absolutely beautiful. Right down there is Devil's Den, which is where we did our ranger tour yesterday. We could have walked from there yesterday, but it's a lot of uphill, and we had a lot of other walking to do, so we chose not to. I don't know if the camera properly picks it up, but it's hard to imagine having to scale these cliffs over these rocks and weeds, over these giant rocks right here, all the way to the top while having ammunition just dumped on you. And it's beautiful here today.
Ooh, I like this.
Wave. One more note on the New York Monument. It is apparently the largest monument on the battlefield that was erected by veterans. And it was a popular place for them to come back to and have meetings. Not meetings, but like get-togethers. Until probably, I would say, about the 30s, when most of them would have died out. And then right over here is Patrick O'Rourke, and if you remember from yesterday, we went to a restaurant called O'Rourke's, which is named after Patrick here, and you can tell that it's a pretty popular thing to rub his nose. I won't do it because it feels a little bit disrespectful, but I wouldn't be surprised if Stacy did it when she was over here. She doesn't have quite the level of respect that I do.
That's what you need to. Oh, you were videoing that? Seriously?
Little Roundtop was undefended. Warren discovered Confederate troops concealed in the distant woodline 1 mile in front of you. If they seized Little Roundtop, the Union Army would be dangerously outflanked. The sight of a large enemy force about to outflank the Union position struck Warren as almost appalling. Warren quickly dispatched aides to seek troops to defend the hill.
Also, just want to make note, at the bottom here it says that one of Warren's aides was Lieutenant Washington Roebling. He was the son of John Roebling, who was the man who designed and built the Brooklyn Bridge. But also, since we are from Cincinnati, we know that the Roebling Bridge was the first bridge that Brooklyn Bridge was later modeled after. So a little bit of Cincinnati history right here.
Over.
You gonna say something? No? Just gonna smile? Stacy, you touched the nose, didn't you?
I did.
Spangler Spring.
All right, tour stop number 13. We are at Spangler Spring. Right here is Spangler Spring. Would have also been here at the time of the battle. I don't know if this particular monument here would have been here though.
Cemetery Hill.
We've made our way to the top of Culps Hill, and I just wanted to point out the statue here is of George Sears Green. He was the oldest Major General to be here. He was also the son of Revolutionary War General Nathaniel Greene, if you know anything about Revolutionary history. There is an observation tower here, which we're about to go up. And we were just reading the sign, and it was talking about how this was some of the most violent fighting that took place here on July 2nd and 3rd. The surrounding area, it said, was so torn to shreds by bullets and cannon fire that an otherwise peaceful area, well, quite obviously looked like a war zone, and was quite terrifying to the first people to come up here after the battle was over. It's also one of the first places that the U.S. government had purchased and set aside for a military park, and some of the first monuments, regimental monuments, went up here on Culps Hill as well. So we're gonna head up to the observation tower and we'll show you what it looks like from the top. All right, so we're at the top. I just wanted to point out that that hill right there is Big Roundtop, and it's hard to see from this angle, but Little Roundtop's right around here. I forgot to mention it down below, but the Union line stretched like a fishhook. It came all the way from Little Roundtop, which was the left flank, all the way to where we are right now on Culps Hill, and it wrapped around Culps Hill like a fishhook. I'll put a picture in so you can see what I'm talking about. But right now we are on the right flank of the Union Army. Got a little bit of a view of the town right there. And I was just over here and I noticed that you can see the Cyclorama building. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I'm jumping.
right there, which is part of the visitor center. And there's a very interesting hearse down there for some reason.
That's a hearse.
Mm-hmm. There's our car, and there's the statue that we're just standing under. Here, I'm going to try to do this without dropping my phone.
Nick, if he drops his phone.
All right, everybody wave.
High watermark.
All right, so if you remember yesterday when we were at the Virginia Monument, which you can see right across the way, right in the middle of the screen, I pointed out a copse of trees that General Lee had ordered his men to set as their end goal. And this is that copse of trees right here. Today there's a marker monument here. This is known as the high water mark because this was as far as the Confederacy made it in their expedition north into Pennsylvania. They did make it to their goal, but this is where they unfortunately or sadly failed in their goal and were turned back, and they had to march back across the field. Right over here, Stacy's getting the kids lined up. Of course, one of our pictures that we take every year.
Put your legs out.
And let's see. I'll show you the picture when it's done. As mentioned yesterday, this was the end location for what later became known as Pickett's Charge. It was actually not just Pickett, though, who was responsible for this charge. There were 3 generals, Pickett being one of them, but also Johnston Pettigrew and Isaac Trimble. Within Pickett's command was a man by the name of General Lewis Armistead, and this is a picture of him right here. He's the one with the hat on his sword. Lewis Armistead was really good friends with Major General Hancock. I don't know if that's Hancock, but let's assume that it is for right now. I'll have to check in a second. But Hancock was the Major General on this side, the Union side. His friend he knew was directly across with General Lee, and both men on that day were aware that the other one was directly across the field. Armistead, I believe, gave his personal Bible to somebody. I don't remember. I think it was Longstreet, and he asked that Longstreet deliver his Bible to the wife of General Hancock after his impending death. He must have known that he was likely to die. But as you can see right here, if you can read it, Brigadier General Lewis Armistead fell here. He and his men were the ones who made it the furthest. And I do believe that that picture of him with the hat on his sword was an accurate depiction. Very well played out in the movie of Gettysburg as well. That's kind of why his story is so well known, I believe. But this right here is the furthest the Confederates made it. It started way up there on that tree line. So if you know anything about the Civil War, you know that the Union Army's greatest problem really was that they couldn't find competent generals. The South had a lot of really good generals. Union ran through generals quite frequently. So who we're looking at here is Major General George Gordon Meade. He was appointed about 2-3 days before the Battle of Gettysburg began by President Lincoln. He was made the commander of the Army of the Potomac. Ironically enough, as high-ranking as he was, you don't often hear about him unless you are really into the Civil War. But George Gordon Meade scored his first victory, and probably the most famous victory, 3 days into the job here at Gettysburg. He went on to hold the same position all the way throughout the war, only being outranked by Ulysses S. Grant further on, who was ranked as the general over the entire U.S. military. But Meade sits directly across from Lee. I think that's probably done on purpose. But yeah, there he is, George Gordon Meade.
This monument commemorates Albert Wilson, the last verifiable survivor of the Civil War. The statue was dedicated only a few months after his death. Although he was not in battle at Gettysburg, the monument is meant to commemorate all soldiers of the Union Army.
Just wanted to show one last part after we just looked at Albert Wilson's monument, one of the last survivors of the Civil War. The Battle of Gettysburg was really only the beginning of the history of the battlefield here. Every year, up until I believe the 75th anniversary, there were soldiers who would come back from both sides. And I believe it was on the 75th anniversary of the battle. I could be mistaken. If I'm wrong, I'll put it on the screen. But on the 75th anniversary, Confederate veterans walked across the field, and Union veterans who would have served on this side walked across the field, and they met at a wall, probably further down here, but for the sake of this video, met at a wall similar to this, and they reached their hands across and shook each other's hands, just kind of symbolizing the unity that our country had to find again after 5 years of bloody conflict. I think it's a good place to end our tour of the battlefield. Still got a few more things we're going to do today, but this is probably one of the last things on the battlefield that we'll do. Alright, so that is the field of Pickett's Charge, and this right here is, or was, General Pickett's buffet. We ate there, I don't know, quite a while ago, because it's been shut down for quite a few years now. I think the American Battlefield Trust recently bought it, and they plan on demolishing it, if I'm not mistaken. Inside was kind of cool. They had a bunch of pictures from the movie, from when the movie was filmed here. A bunch of actors, I think, went there as well. But we always remember one specific review that we read online of Pickett's Buffet, and that is that
The corn tastes like butt.
What?
We think they meant butter, but forgot the rest. But we still laugh about it today.
What happened?
the corn was not good, by the way.
Yeah, it was. So.
All right, so we are at this new mini golf place. We've never seen it before. It's been 2 years since we've been here, so I don't know if it opened last year or this year.
It's called Lincoln Links.
Lincoln Links. All right.
Maybe it's like Lincoln Log themed?
So we're gonna do some mini golfing, and then
But I think we gotta walk around to the front.
we'll see what happens after that.
Oh, Zeke! Oh! In the sand! That wasn't bad. Daddy didn't make it through the lot.
Gotta hit it kind of hard. It's up the hill.
Don't hit that stone.
Stacy, read the results.
All right. Dakota comes in last with a score of 80. Then Calvin in fourth with a 76. Zeke in third with a 69. Mom in second with a 61. And Dad with an impressive score of 46.
Yeah, guys. Another one of our places we go to almost every time.
Soldiers National Cemetery.
All right, we're at Gettysburg National Cemetery. Walking through the entrance here. So the cemetery was created in part because the governor of Pennsylvania at the time came in the weeks after the Civil War, and it was said that after some heavy rains, a lot of the bodies who were buried in rather shallow graves by the victorious Union, a lot of the bodies had started to kind of come back to the surface because the rain had washed away a lot of the dirt. Also, it was reported that it was not uncommon to see a hog running through the streets carrying an arm or a leg. So, disgusted at what he had seen, he teamed up with a local by the name of Willis, I think, Willis or Wills, and they together put the designs together for the cemetery. At the consecration of the cemetery, they invited Abraham Lincoln, who obliged and came. And I think on November, was it November?
I don't remember what the date
Sometime
is.
in November, I'll put the date on the screen. He came, and the night before he gave his speech, he stayed at the David Willis house.
I don't know if it's Wills or Willis.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Huh.
Stayed at the house, which is in the town center. We couldn't go to it this year because it is closed for renovation. But that's where he sat, and he finished off his speech, which turned out to be 270 words, something like that.
Not very long.
But
275.
275 according to Cal.
It's
But the speech, as you all know, became known as the Gettysburg Address, which is, I would assume, Lincoln's most famous speech, and one of the most famous speeches in all of United States history. We're headed right now to the location of that speech. A couple other things I'll point out when we get up here.
it's David Wills.
All right, David Wills. All right, so this is the monument that is honoring Abraham Lincoln and his speech. It's dedicated by the state of Kentucky. Most people think that that is the site of the speech, but the reality is it is actually somewhere over here. I think it's still debated, but somewhere on this side of the fence, which is a different cemetery, is where the stage was, where the speech was given. Also of note, Jenny Wade, who we saw yesterday, the statue in front of the house where she died, the only civilian to die in the Civil War, she is buried right by that flag. Alright, we found the Ohio section, and there's one person in particular whose grave I want to find. Alright, here it is. This is George Nixon, who is the grandfather of future President Richard Nixon.
7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated on the proposition that all men are created equal.
Now we are engaged in a great civil war.
Testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure,
We have come to dedicate a portion of that field
as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live.
It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this.
But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate. We cannot consecrate. We cannot hollow this ground.
The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract.
The world will little note nor long remember what we say here. But it can never forget what they did here.
It is for us to live in.
Rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work, which they who fought here thus far so nobly advanced.
It is rather for us
To be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us.
that for these honored dead,
We take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion.
that we here high raises up,
That these dead shall not have died in vain.
that this nation
Under God shall have a new birth of freedom.
and that government
Of the people, by the people,
for the people
shall not perish from the earth.
Say bye to Gettysburg.
Bye, Gettysburg.
Did you guys have fun?
Yes.
We're going to this orchard. We stopped here a couple of years ago when we came with his parents and got some apple cider donuts, and they were really good. The orchard they collect from is right across the street. What's that? Huh? Root beer. Or root beer. We pulled over at Catoctin National Park, and Calvin and Dakota completed the Junior Ranger program and got sworn in as Junior Rangers. Zeke, take him back inside to go to the bathroom. Hold on, bud. Wasn't really tense.
Look at the deer, guys.
Maybe that's what it was.
Is this the covered bridge?
Look at the name on the bridge. It's our bridge.
Mays Bridge, 1899. That's pretty cool. All right, where we at, guys?
Mays Bridge.
Yep, right there. All right, we're gonna try to get a picture.
That'll be all for this video. Thanks for watching.